One of the biggest surprises of E3 2016, and speaking of surprises, why not check out our videos about those surprises, was the reveal of the new God of War. But it wasn't so much the fact that we're getting a new God of War, pretty much everyone knew that. It's the fact that this is God of War like we've never seen it before. Hi everyone, Spidey here, and these are 10 things you need to know about the new God of War. Number 10, it's directed by Barr Log. Now, this isn't the most crucial piece of information to know, but we need to establish who Corey is because I'm going to be quoting him a lot throughout this video because the man says a lot of really interesting stuff. Barr Log has been deeply involved with the God of War franchise ever since its inception. He was the lead animator on God of War 1, then the director and writer of God of War 2, which is personally my favorite God of War game. He then wrote the original design and layout for God of War 3, and wrote the script for Ghosts of Sparta on the PSP before leaving Sony Santa Monica in 2007. This new direction for the series isn't a case of someone new coming in and changing everything around. God of War is near and dear to Barr Log's heart, and if there's anyone that this new game should be entrusted to, it's him. Number 9, it's a continuation, not a reboot. This is particularly interesting because despite the fact that we're dealing with an entirely new set of gods, a different time period, and a wildly different version of Kratos, this new God of War is still considered to be a continuation from where God of War 3 left off. And in case you don't remember, God of War 3 ended with the state of the world in a pretty fucked up state. In a blog post, Barr Log wrote, "I knew I didn't want to simply reboot the franchise, starting over with a retelling of the origin story. I wanted to reimagine the gameplay, give players a fresh perspective and a new tactile experience while delving deeper into the emotional journey of Kratos to explore the compelling drama that unfolds when an immortal demigod makes a decision to change." Barr Log says that the game will connect back to God of War 3 and we'll find out what happened in all those years between the two games. I tell you what, I'm super interested in hearing that story. Number 8, the game is centered around Norse mythology. Turns out that the leak regarding Kratos turning his sights to Norse gods was true after all. The new God of War trades in the Greek pantheon for Nordic gods and beasts, and the Blades of Chaos for a battle axe with a Mjolnir-style throw-and-return functionality. The E3 demo didn't really show off the depth of the Nordic connection, but if we take those leaks seriously, which, I mean, we probably should at this point, we can expect to be walking around in environments like this. Stuff that looks like it would be at home in the next Thor movie. Also, apparently dragons are a part of Norse mythology. Oh, I didn't even know that. I guess you learn something new every E3. Number 7, Kratos has a son, and that relationship is at the core of this game's story. In an interview with IGN, Barr Log pretty much perfectly summed up what this new God of War is going to be all about. He said, "This game is about Kratos teaching his son how to be a god, and his son teaching Kratos how to be human again." That's a really powerful quote, and I think it's going to go a long way in addressing the common complaint that a lot of people have with the God of War franchise, about Kratos lacking the character depth needed to be an interesting character. Number 6, there will actually be a button devoted to Kratos' son. Okay, so this is kind of weird and kind of gives the game a bit of an Ico vibe, but apparently there's a button devoted entirely to interacting with Kratos' son. You can use it to call him over and interact with the world in contextually sensitive ways. His son can become an active participant in combat, traversal, exploration, and puzzle solving. We can kind of catch a glimpse of this in the demo where Kratos teaches him how to fire a bow. Apparently, this eventually becomes second nature to the boy as Kratos' knowledge and experience gets passed down to him. Number 5, one of the big questions at the heart of the story is whether Kratos is capable of redemption. Spoiler alert, but Kratos is kind of a giant dick. Like seriously, God of War 3 ends with Kratos essentially damning the rest of the world by systematically killing each of the gods responsible for holding it together. Sure, Zeus was pretty bad too, but Kratos committed some pretty unspeakable acts while on his path of vengeance. This new God of War features that same Kratos, but it's a Kratos who is trying to do better. You can tell he's actively trying to keep his anger in check, even though it still slips out from time to time. Barr Log says that God of War will explore whether Kratos can possibly be redeemed for everything that he's done in the past. And that's an interesting question. Honestly, God of War 3 kind of toyed with that idea in the whole section involving Pandora, but this time it's going to be explored fully. Number 4, Kratos still retains his Spartan Rage. At one point in the demo, Kratos can click both sticks in to go into Spartan Rage mode. And yes, it's called Spartan Rage, not Nordic Rage, showing that Kratos is still keeping true to his roots despite the new setting. Interestingly, the meter actually fills when Kratos gets angry even in cutscenes. As far as the gameplay implications, activating it triggers a combat cutscene as opposed to granting him power and invulnerability. Number 3. QTEs will return, but not as they were in prior games. You can already see a few points in the E3 demo where Kratos must use button prompts to do certain things, but one thing that's notably missing are the extravagant battle sequences that are helped along thanks to QuickTime events. In an interview with Jeff Keighley, Barr Log said that QTEs will not be used the way they had been in previous games, but they do still want to get very close up to the action, which is what QTEs enable. Number 2, the game will be presented as one continuous shot. This is actually kind of a hallmark of the God of War series, in that the games never feature traditional load times. Kratos always seamlessly moves from one locale to the next, and there's always some clever tricks that help disguise the loading. According to Barr Log, this new God of War will also be presented as one continuous shot from start to finish. And finally, number 1, there will still be plenty of action. The E3 demo was notably light on action and heavy on storytelling and emotion. And the reason for that, as Barr Log states in that same interview with IGN, is because he feels that it's a given that the game will have those big bombastic set-piece moments. Sony Santa Monica has mastered those moments, and so with this demo, the focus was on surprising fans and non-fans of the series with the unexpected. It's a risky maneuver, but you know what? I think it's gonna pay off because God of War is the talk of the Sony press conference. Well, it's not the only talk, but it's probably the big talk. The game is also still a bit of a ways off as it's not scheduled to be released in 2016. So I'm sure that we'll get to see more of Kratos showing off his more action-y side down the line and get a real feel for what this game is going to be like. I know I said 10 things, but we can't stop there because there's a few more bonus facts that you should know about God of War. Like RPG elements. The game has them. God of War has always had character progression in the form of upgrading weapons to get new moves and to increase their power, but it sounds like this new God of War will have actual RPG-esque systems in place, though we don't know the details just yet. Also, there's been a voice actor change for Kratos. For the first time in series history, Kratos will not be voiced by T.C. Carson. Instead, he'll be performed by Christopher Judge, who will probably be most familiar to sci-fi fans for his work as Teal'c in Stargate SG-1. And there you have it, 10 things you need to know about the next God of War. What do you guys think? Are you interested in this new direction for the series? Is Sony Santa Monica making a mistake by focusing on the wrong aspect of God of War? We want to hear your thoughts, so join us in the comments, and while you're at it, if you enjoyed this video, do us a favor and hit that like button as it really helps us out more than you know. And hey, why not consider subscribing as well for more awesome video content every single day. I've been your friendly neighborhood Spidey. You can find me at Jurassic Rabbit on Twitter, and I'll see you next time.